For over 100 years, Iowa State University Extension and Outreach has been serving Iowans. As our state recovers from COVID-19, we will continue to deliver information and education based on research to help you care for your family, manage stress, and support your community, your business, and your farm. We're here for you now, and we will be for the next 100 years. Together, we will build a strong Iowa.
Hey everyone, welcome to our Tips from an Expert. It's been a couple months since our last one, so we are excited to join you again on Facebook and hear from you guys. So make sure that you use the comment section, let us know what's resonating with you, ask your questions, anything that you'd like to add to the conversation. Put those down in the comments and we will make sure to respond to you and let you be involved in the conversation. Today's Tips from an Expert is about resources that we have that are going to support goals that you've set. And we have our Spend Smart, Eat Smart specialist, Jody, with us. Hi, Jody. Jody and I were already chatting and sharing our funny stories of our snow day earlier this week with our kids being home and having coming up from working and finding trails of toys everywhere. So I'm sure some of you also experienced that as well. All right, Jody, I'm really excited. You joined me actually on Instagram last week where we kind of did a condensed version. So I'm excited today to get to talk a little bit more about your thoughts, your tips, and then also some great resources, some of which are brand new. Like this is the premiere.
That is. Yep, we just created some new videos for Spend Smart, Eat Smart. And yeah, we're kind of at that time in January, right? A lot of people set New Year's resolutions, set goals, and you might need a little motivation to keep going or maybe revamp where they're going with their goals.
Yeah, by late January, I think people are starting to okay, do I need to reassess? Is this working? Can it work better? Okay, well, let's jump into it. So again, today's Tips from an Expert. We're going to talk about support for the goals you set. Our guest is Jody Gatewood, nutrition specialist. And we've got a little your role. So you can share your title. And then also I'm going to need you to tell me the letters that we've got some letters behind your name that they mean something.
Yeah. So, my name is Jody Gatewood, and I am a registered dietitian. So the RDLD means our registered dietitians, and I'm licensed in the state of Iowa, licensed dietitian. And then I have my Master's of Science in Nutritional Sciences from Iowa State. And so I'm housed here on the Iowa State campus, and I help with our nutrition programs that work with families with limited income. I also work with our well-being program, so working with our program specialists out across the state that have expertise in finance and family life and nutrition and wellness. So a passion of mine. So I'm excited to be here to talk with everybody today.
Yeah. All right, so before you jump into what some other things you're going to share, just a reminder, if you're joining us, you can add any comments, questions, anything to the chat. We love to hear from you guys. And Jody's, here, she's just listed off her credentials. She's like, you're like legit. Like
I am. I have some, expertise in that area, especially, like I said, the nutrition and also the fitness area.
Yeah. So add your comments, add your questions, and even if you're popping into this later after the live's over, feel free to do the same. All right, Jody, I'm popping off screen. You're taking over now.
All right. Yeah. So when we think about goals, one of the first things, let's talk about how we set the goals or plan what we're going to do. And so some of you may have heard about SMART goals, but this is a way to think about how you're setting your goals. So sometimes we have something that we want to do. And so maybe you want to be more physically active. And so maybe you say, oh, I want to be more physically active. But you really need to be a little bit more specific and really, think about what you want to do with that goal. And so one way to think about it is to set a SMART goal. And so that means it needs to be specific. And so when you want to get more physically active, how could you be more specific with that? And one way to do that is to be measurable. So how are you going to track or know if you met your goal? And that is by adding some numbers and making it measurable. So if you want to be more physically active, maybe you think about how active you are right now. And so maybe you say, I want to walk for 30 minutes 3 times a week. And so that's making it more specific, and it's also measurable. You're going to do it 30 minutes and you want to do it 3 times a week. And thinking about attainable, is that something if you're not walking at all right now, maybe walking 3 times a week, 30 minutes is attainable. It is something that you are able to do, but you do want to stretch yourself a little bit. So if you're maybe already walking 20 minutes a week, 3 times a week, maybe adding 10 minutes is attainable. Maybe you need to stretch it a little bit more. So thinking about what you're doing now and where you want to get to and what stretches you a little bit, but what is not too far that you might not be able to succeed. Also thinking about, is it realistic or relevant? And so, just thinking about one thing to ask yourself too is, do you have control over the goal? Or is it something that is beyond your control? So really think about that when you're thinking about your goals. Is it something that you have control over and you can make happen with what you're going to do? And then also make it timely. So give yourself a timeline or a deadline, or with our goal of 3 30-minute walks, that is a timeline. So within the week that you need to do it 3 times. So that gives you a timetable to think about. And so when you're thinking about goals, think about making them SMART. So specific, measurable, attainable, thinking about if they're realistic or relevant, and also if they're timely. So the next one, when we think about tips then, is what's your why? And so when you're really thinking about your goals, or if you set New Year's resolutions, thinking about why you're setting this goal. And a question that I like to ask is, did you set the goal because it's meaningful to you? There's something that has purpose or meaning. It's something that you want to add to your life that is going to make it more fulfilling. Or did you set the goal because on social media or you heard your friends talk about a goal that they were setting? And not that it's not helpful to do a goal that other people are doing, because sometimes it can be fun to have a group goal, maybe with a group of friends or maybe with a community online. But make sure that you're also doing it because it's meaningful to you. Because if we're just doing it because it's the trendy thing to do, or people are doing it, or we think we should do it, but there doesn't have a lot of meaning or purpose to you, it's not going to probably be as fun for you. You're probably going to maybe not stick with it as long, or really put your energy into it. So really think about why you're doing it, if it's adding meaning, and if it has a purpose to your life. And also when you think about your goals, you need to know what you need. What are the resources that you need to accomplish your goal? And so here you'll see on ours, again, as somebody that's very passionate about nutrition and fitness, part of what I work with here at Iowa State University Extension and Outreach is Spend Smart, Eat Smart. So some of you might be familiar with our Spend Smart, Eat Smart website. We also have an app. We're also on social media. And so if we're thinking about our goals, if they're related to fitness or nutrition, maybe we need some resources that can help us reach those goals. So a couple of new videos that we just released within the last week on our website and app. We have some workouts, very doable, 10 minutes or less, that if you're sitting at a desk or just needing to get up and do some movement or just wanting to add some movement throughout your day, these would be some resources that could be helpful. So we have a chair workout, we have a cardio pyramid, we have some stretching videos. If you have a nutrition goal and you're wanting to improve your nutrition and maybe your eating habits, we also have a new video about reading the nutrition facts label. So the nutrition facts label was recently updated. It has a lot of numbers, it has a lot of information that can be very helpful to helping you improve your nutrition, but it can be confusing. And so we have a video about how to use that information on the label. So again, if you set a goal, just thinking about what you need. What resources do you need? Maybe it's a financial goal. What resources do you need to do that? Or maybe you have a goal with reading. Where are you going to get your books at if you have a goal to read more? So just thinking about what you need and how you're going to access that and get those resources. The next tip is to start simple. I think sometimes we get motivated, we get excited, which is great. But when we think about, again, the SMART goal is about it being realistic and attainable. We need to think about our energy level, our time, how much time we have to put towards it, other commitments that we have. And so I really think if we can start simple, then we can build on that. And so thinking about a goal, maybe a financial goal, okay? Let's say you want to maybe take a trip at the end of this year or next year, or you want to start an emergency savings so you have some money when an emergency comes up. And say your goal, you want to save $1,000, okay, for example. Maybe that can feel overwhelming and thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to save $1,000? But if you start simple and you can break that down, then you can maybe determine how much do I need to save from each paycheck? How much do I need to put in my savings each month? And so then you're just really breaking it down. You're starting simple. You're saying I need to save, $100 or, maybe $90 each month to get me to my $1,000 goal by the end of the year. So really thinking about if you have a big goal, maybe you can break it down into smaller goals, or maybe really just starting simple. Once you accomplish that goal, maybe you set some other goals throughout the year. Maybe the goal that you set in the beginning of January is just a goal for a couple of months, and then you set another goal. So really thinking about starting simple and not committing yourself to more than your time and energy and whatever you've got going in your life can handle. Tip number 4 is to pick a partner. And so again, I mentioned before of really thinking about your why. Why are you setting a goal? What purpose, what meaning does it have to your life? Or is it because other people are doing it? And so maybe there is a goal that is meaningful to you, but others that are doing it. Maybe there's a community online that you're with, or maybe you have a group of friends. And so this is helpful because then you have an accountability partner. Maybe it's one person, maybe it's a group of people. Like I said, it could be virtual or in person, but it helps with accountability. So somebody that can check in with you and say, hey, how are things going? Or maybe help you think through, maybe you're having some barriers that come up. They can help you think through those barriers. And it also just be fun. For example, maybe you do have a goal to do some more reading. Maybe you really like reading and you just haven't made the time. So your goal is to make some more time to do some reading. And if you have others that are reading a similar book, it makes it fun because then you know that you have somebody else to talk to about that book. So thinking about a partner or somebody else that you can work on the goal together, or somebody that will check in with you and help you think through barriers and also celebrate with you when you meet your goals. So then if we're making our goals specific and measurable, as we talked about with that SMART goal, another way to help you keep on track is to really keep track, right? So, I like to say sticker charts aren't just for kids, right? Like maybe we have an adult sticker chart or some way that we can keep track, and maybe it's an app. There are various apps out there that you can use that help you can to track your goals and to help you see if you're meeting your goals. So whatever works for you. One thing I would say though with keeping track is to think about what I saw one psychologist mention as gentle accountability. Because sometimes we might get really frustrated, or let's say, we are tracking how many days that we're doing a goal, and one day, life just happens, right? Something comes up. Maybe we weren't able to get our goal met that day, and so we don't able to, put a sticker on, or it just shows that we didn't meet our goal. And so that doesn't mean that everything's over, right? Can't continue to do it. Just, the next day or when you're able, pick back up and continue on, because we are going to run into barriers, and just being flexible and knowing, hey, things are going to come up, but that doesn't mean I can't pick back up and continue with my goal. So it's great to keep track. It's great to keep motivated, but also just having some gentle accountability, and just knowing that things will come up, and you can always jump back into it when you're able to. And then tip number 6, the last tip then, is to plan for rewards. That's a fun part of setting goals is, hey, how am I going to celebrate once I met this goal? And so it doesn't have to be something big or expensive, but otherwise, maybe it is something that you're going to buy for yourself or save up for yourself. And so just having that reward can help keep you motivated and have your kind of eye on the prize of, what you're working towards, as well as just having that feeling of accomplishment by meeting your goal. So some things that you might think about to reward for yourself, just maybe visiting somewhere. With the pandemic, we haven't been able to go many places, but if you're comfortable and you're able to go, maybe you're going to a botanical center, or, maybe you're going somewhere, maybe you're going to a park, or maybe you're going to visit something that you haven't been able to do for a while. And so you're going to take the time to do that. Maybe you're going to take a class. Maybe your reward is taking a class and learning something new. And with Extension, we have lots of different classes. So you can look on our Extension website and maybe see there's something that you want to learn, or maybe through a school or a community college. Maybe you're going to treat yourself to a massage or a facial or a treatment, something to help you relax and reward you for meeting your goal. Or maybe you're just going to take the day off and do nothing. Sometimes we get to go. That is really a reward just to do nothing and not have anything planned. And that's how you are able to celebrate. So just thinking about that at the beginning when you're planning your goal, also planning how you're going to reward yourself when you meet that goal. And then the last thing to really think about is really consistency over perfection. And so I think about that with that gentle accountability, is that it's more important to be consistent than to shoot for perfection, because again, we're humans, we're not perfect, things are going to come up, but we can't let that derail us or really, frustrate us too much. We might get frustrated some, but just know, hey, I'm frustrated, that didn't work out. But I can continue on. And so being consistent is more important. So again, if it's a physical activity goal, maybe you weren't able to get in all 20 minutes, something came up, but were you able to just get in 5 or 10 minutes? So you're keeping consistent, you're keeping that habit, you're building that habit. And so you're staying consistent, even if it wasn't exactly in your mind the perfect way that you wanted to do it, but you're still, putting some effort forward and doing what you're able to do to just stay consistent, because that consistency is really what is going to build the habit. Just doing it frequently and regularly, even if it's not for the full amount of time or the complete goal that you had set. So hopefully those are some helpful goals, some helpful tips for you with your goals. But as I mentioned before, a program and a resource that I work with is Spend Smart, Eat Smart. And so you can see here from our homepage, and clicking or showing those videos right there, that little arrow. So again, you can see there, spendsmart.extension.iastate.edu. So we have lots of great resources. We have videos both for physical activity. We also have recipe videos. We have recipes. We have a blog. So again, you can find us on Facebook. Twitter. We have some pictures and things on Pinterest as well, so you can find us there. So lots of just great resources to help you on your journey if you have a goal related to nutrition or cooking or fitness. You can find us there. And here we could just see the recipe page, my favorite page. I love to do some cooking, and so you can see different types of recipes that we have. So anything from desserts to main dishes to salads, appetizers. We also have some great recipes that freeze well, something that I like to do, freeze some meals ahead of time that I can just pull out, one pot and slow cookers as well. So with our recipes, you'll notice, we give the recipes, the ingredients, but we also give the nutrition facts. So as I mentioned before, we have a new video about reading the nutrition facts label, but we also provide that with all of our recipes. And this can be really helpful for people who might have allergies or intolerances, or if you have a health condition, perhaps diabetes or high cholesterol, that we provide that information for you for our recipes, so you can fit that into whatever your health needs are. One thing that we also have is the cost, right? So it helps you to budget for your meals and your groceries. So we also provide that cost for each meal, what the cost is per serving. Another great resource that Extension has related to this is AnswerLine. Some of you might be familiar with AnswerLine, but they are helpful if you come across a recipe and you're thinking, I don't have that. Is there a way I can substitute it? Or maybe there's a technique that is mentioned that you're not familiar with. So you can contact AnswerLine. You see their email right there, answer@iastate.edu. And those gals can help you with any question you might have related to cooking, substitutes, food preservation, lots of getting stains out, but AnswerLine has lots of great resources as well. Oh, Leah, I'm not hearing you.
You would think after almost an entire year of virtual working that one would check for that mute button first. Oh my gosh. It doesn't matter what meeting I'm on or who I'm talking to. That's like a level of humiliation that I just am like, no. But we've all been there. Okay, I was very inspired, and I was frantically making sure to add in all of these awesome resources to our comment section. So again, whether you're watching now or later after the live's over, there are almost everything you talked about. There's a link or a resource or somewhere to go. We added your information or your email down there as well, because obviously you are going to be the go-to that can still point people to those other resources. All right, so we've had some different questions that we've had in the past from program participants or, those in our lives. So we're going to throw some of those up and talk through a few of those. So one common question or issue that we see is, someone that's struggling with aches, pains, or, something even more serious that's stopping them from being, as active as they'd like to be. So what would you say to that person? What would you suggest, or some options for them?
Yeah, I think we see this, and sometimes when we think about being active, we think of, we have these pictures of having to go for a run or, just more intense things, but really being active, there's lots of different ways to be active. And so that's one of the things that we kept in mind when we created our new videos that I mentioned. And so we have some chair workouts. So some stretches that you can do sitting in your chair. And one of the strength ones is just exercises that you can do with a chair. So you have that stability of being on the chair. Some of the exercises are while you're sitting in that chair. So I think there's lots of different ways. Some aches and pains, thinking about the impact. So again, yes, some of those high impact ones probably are going to be harder on your joints. But maybe if you're able to bike, or something where you're able to sit so you don't have that impact. The cardio pyramid video, you are going to do some walking, some marching, but it is lower impact. So there's not any jumping where there might be some aches and pains. And when you're able to, depending on where you're at and your comfort level. Pool is also a great way, getting in and doing some water exercise, because that water helps to lift off some of that gravity. So it's a little bit easier on your joints.
I enjoyed water aerobics when I was pregnant too.
Yeah.
The gravity helped a lot in that one. Yeah. And in your areas, sometimes fitness facilities have different rules and regulations right now. So checking in with them, seeing what's available. But those are some great lower impact options. All right. So another question that we hear a lot, I'm good at starting goals focused on nutrition, but then kind of seem to fall off the plan. Which again, it's late January, so some people might be kind of feeling this one resonates. So what are some thoughts on kind of changing that cycle, changing how that, you're good at starting, but then it's kind of the sticking with it?
Yeah. And I think as a dietitian, it's often when people want to start nutrition goals or do nutrition goals, they're looking to take things away, right? Like, I'm going to eat less of this. I'm going to eat less of that. So it's very restrictive, right? Yeah. And so then when we want to be with family or friends or, go out to eat or something, like, that restriction can lead to deprivation, and then you just get frustrated. And so one thing that I would think about is, instead of setting a goal that has you removing things or taking things away, think about adding things, right? So it's a more positive way of looking at it. And if you're adding things, then some things might naturally just fall off, right? Yeah. So perhaps you have a goal to drink more water. Sometimes people tend not to, especially when it's cold in the winter. I think in Iowa, it's, who wants to drink cold water? I guess maybe they think it, but thinking about, how can you get more fluids in, right? And so instead of thinking I'm going to drink less pop, where it seems to be a negative, I have to restrict, take away, I'm going to drink more water. Well, if you're drinking more water, you're probably just going to naturally drink less pop, but the way your mind is thinking about it isn't thinking of it as I'm getting something taken away, but I'm adding it.
That's true. Thinking back on decisions I've made, it's almost always the taking away of something. So that is such a good point, because it's like, eat less of this or whatever, but not necessarily eat more of your fruits or your veggies or drink more water. And then ultimately you probably have met some craving.
And cooking too, I think too, when we start nutrition goals, we have lots of different recipes. So, just finding some other recipes. So you have a goal of doing nutrition, or that's maybe the thing in the back, or that's kind of like why you're doing it. You want to have better nutrition, but maybe your goal is to cook more at home. Maybe you do tend to eat out more, but maybe your goal is to maybe cook more at home, or, learn a new cooking skill, try some new recipes, or maybe meal planning. Just by meal planning, that can lead to better nutrition, because you're planning in those fruits and vegetables. So
that's what I need to do, the meal planning for sure.
Yeah. And so you have those goals that just kind of lead into what your overarching goal is.
Jordan gave a shout out to the chili recipes.
Yes. Yeah, we have a few different types of chili recipes. We have a black bean soup that's really good. So, yeah.
And I think I've heard people bring that up before, the chili recipes. So that must be like a crowd favorite. I know yesterday I pulled up the chocolate surprise cupcakes, because yesterday was National Chocolate Cake Day. Didn't know it was a thing. I know, it's very exciting. And I found that recipe, and I realized why it's called surprise, because the ingredients are very good for you. You still get your chocolate fix for sure, but you're also getting some other yummy things in there.
Yeah, there's definitely a surprise ingredient that people usually think you only cook with like once a year.
I will. I'll share the link to that recipe, so that way people can see if they spot the surprise. Okay, so we've got some other questions. So any specific tips or thoughts on getting your children involved in setting some goals for the family, maybe, or just being involved in goals that maybe one of the adults in the home has set?
Yeah, I mean, I think, having a conversation with them. I do think sometimes in schools they talk about goals, because my son, actually came home the other day and said, one of the things I wanted to do, Mom, is to cook more with you, so they might already have some goals. So just making sure you're asking or talking with them. Maybe if you don't talk with it, they don't think to bring it up. But maybe if you say, hey, what would you like to, what can we work on together? As far as nutrition, a goal that maybe you have and you want your family to have, again, maybe going at a different route versus, saying we're going to eat more fruits and vegetables, because I'm a dietitian. I can tell you, even my kids are like, no, mom, we're not doing that. But thinking about the cooking part, the fun that you can do, but that also helps with you spending more time with your kids, right? And so sometimes I think, if we work all day or they're at school all day, we come home and we cook a meal, but it's a way to spend some time together. And so you're, having a goal of, again, if your goal was to cook more often at home, getting your kids involved, and they can have fun with that. But I think, just having that conversation, maybe they already have some goals or they'll have fun when you think about setting it. And again, the sticker charts again, and thinking about the rewards, I think kids are great. When they know that there could be a reward coming, and letting them know, then they might get more excited about being involved. Just thinking about age level too, and create goals.
I don't know. I think my teen might enjoy a good sticker chart just as much as they do. I also know in our family, like when our kids are involved in the cooking process, they're much more likely to eat the final product.
Yeah, they're excited.
So that's been something that's kind of nice when they get to help. I've had to let go of my idea of what preparation looks like, though, because there's, there might be a little bit more mess. Things take a little bit more time. But again, it's that, you're having that family time. So that's good.
And I even think like getting them involved with the meal planning. So, the cooking, but also the meal planning. So like maybe they get a night that they get to help, choose what the different foods are, and teaching them a skill, right? So it's a goal that you're working on, but it's also a lifelong skill.
Yeah. I'm sure there's people watching that either have children in 4-H or were in 4-H themselves. And so their kids, if you experience 4-H, you've got no issue understanding setting a goal, meeting a goal, learning during the process.
Yep.
All right. So what are some good goals that aren't the typical focus of like an eating better or being more active? What are some other maybe, positive goals you think people could be using?
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, maybe it's something with reading. Maybe, I guess I'm thinking that because that's something that I really like to do, and I don't always make time for it. I tend to like read at night right before I go to bed, right? And then I like fall asleep before, maybe it's something with reading, financial. I think it's also a good time to look at your finances, and maybe there's a financial goal, or as I mentioned, I think we're all craving traveling, so maybe it's a goal to save some money that then you can go on a trip. That reward of saving that money is that trip that you can go on with a family or with friends that you can have some fun, and another goal like that. A social, I think about my work with the well-being program, and we think of, as far as like overall well-being, your nutrition and wellness, or your physical well-being, your financial well-being. So that might be a financial goal. And then also your social and emotional. So maybe there's a goal, mindfulness, just helping you to, maybe do some more mindfulness or meditation, but also social. Like I said, that can be a little bit tricky these days, but again, there's some sort of goal related to, social, just making sure you do connect, if it's online or a phone call or meeting outside or whatever you're safe with. But just making that a goal that you do make those connections on a regular basis and don't let them go too long.
And that goal could tie into that accountability, finding that person or partner that, absolutely. I know some friends and I have made it a point that we, connect, whether that's virtual or if we're able to meet somewhere safely. It's kind of once a month. Like we just know that's what we need, kind of recharges us and, helps us be a little bit better at the other things that we're doing in our lives. There was one that you said that made me think of when you talked about reading, because that's, excuse me, a goal of mine as well is to read before bed, because otherwise if I'm not reading, I'm on my phone. So I know a lot of people definitely set some goals for less screen time. And arguably we probably are all on the screen even more now than we were before, with so many meetings going virtual and, opportunities going virtual, programming going virtual. So that was another one I thought of. That wasn't necessarily food, or it's still good for you. I'm sure my eyes appreciate it at night. My goodness.
And I think that's too, Leah, like when we think of like, instead of like taking it away, because again, my screen time, which I will have to say, I've been doing that actually myself the last couple of days. And it's like, world of difference of just how
Oh, yeah.
I was starting my day and things like that. But I think, again, thinking about adding in. So, right, you're like, my goal is to read. And so you're not telling yourself, I do less screen time, I'm taking that away. Like it's a negative, like,
oh gosh, I got to reshift that. That's so good.
Changing your mindset of I'm adding the book. And so your mind's like, yeah, I'm doing this without really focusing on what you're not doing.
That's a big shift. And obviously one I still need to work on. But yeah, I think that's so right. Adding in, what are you adding in that yes, is going to make something else less or whatever. But okay. I think we've kind of gotten through some of our good ones. Oh, I typed this one in because when you said gentle accountability, I was like, I really like that. I really liked that phrase. And when you talked about that.
Yeah. And like I said, I saw a psychologist mention that, but I think sometimes we get so stuck on like, it is good to track and to keep accountable. But if we get so focused on that and then it just like frustrates us too much, or we get too let down when we don't get it, it's not that all or none, but just being, consistent, but know that life is going to happen.
Yeah. Having some kindness for yourself for sure. All right. So before we hop off, I'm going to put up our Iowa Concern hotline number. Iowa Concern is a free resource. It's available 24/7. They specialize in pretty much anything that you might just need a little extra support with. They will direct you to some resources statewide and in your area that can just help you where you're at. Legal, financial, stress, crisis, disaster. Those are some of their specialty areas. But it's really a great place to go when you're just not quite sure what the next step is in an area of your life, and they can help provide that support. So again, that's Iowa Concern, and they're free 24/7, always available. You'll be connected with a trusted person that will provide some confidential support for you. All right, Jody, thank you so much. I enjoy learning from you and interacting with you. We've got Jody's email address up there, as well as some areas that you can follow Extension and Spend Smart, Eat Smart to make sure that you're staying up to date on all of our great resources, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And again, if you are on Instagram, if you pop over to our extension page at ISU Extension, you'll get to see in our IGTV a previously recorded live that Jody joined us with last week, where she talks on some similar topics, but different formats. So there's some other good tips in there. Any last thoughts that we should add in, Jody?
I think we covered it all, but yeah, I wish everyone well on whatever goals. And just remember, like, if you maybe need to reevaluate or set a different goal, or you can set goals any time of the year. It doesn't just have to be in January. So
yeah. And that I love the other thing too that you said, the consistency over perfection. Doesn't have to be perfect, but if you can stay consistent, and then the gentle accountability, that one's going to stick with me. I like that one. All right. If you're watching this later after the live is over, feel free to still hit up any information in the chat, leave a comment, let us know what works for you, or if there was anything that Jody shared that really resonated. Also throw your questions there as well. We'll make sure to connect you with an answer. And again, there's a lot of links down there. So enjoy those resources and see what you can maybe stumble upon, some new recipes to try with the family maybe. All right, Jody, thank you again for joining us. I look forward to when we can schedule another Tips from an Expert with you.
Me too. Thanks, Leah.
Yeah. Bye, everyone.